Shalom, shalom, shalom. Ani Yehuda Yorah. I am Judah the Shooter. I'm author of the book, The Unwritten Rules of Polygyny, which of course can be found at PolyBook.com. Definitely get your copy. The book is not just for people who are pro-poly. It's actually for people who are also anti-poly as well. They clear up a lot of misconceptions that you may or may not have about the lifestyle and culture. So just because you get the book don't mean that you're interested in the lifestyle. You can learn some things. You know what I'm saying? You might have been taught some things that was incorrect, and that's okay. There's a book out that, of course, can give you a pretty much of a blueprint of things that you may or may not have known about the lifestyle and culture. Most High willing, there will be a part two. For those of you all who have bought the book, I definitely appreciate you, your families, and everybody who has supported. I also would like to let you know there will be a book two. So yes, there will be a part two. Part one has been out for a little over a year now. It was released November 13th, 2021. So it's been out a little over a year. All right. So today we're in the 17th. Now, speaking of misconceptions, there's another misconception that is out there, of course. And I told you all a while ago that I will be doing different lessons, different topics, different time periods. And I told you I wasn't done. All right. So this one is another one. I want to call this one maybe the wife of thy youth. The wife of thy youth. Why am I saying this? Let me take a sip of my water. So, there are people, brothers and sisters, who are in the anti-poly community and will say, well, God don't like polygyny, even though he put up with it, he allowed it, of course. You've heard these things. One of the things they'll say is, you need to have self-control and go back to the wife of your youth, to the men. Or they'll tell other sisters in the community that, well, since you're a second wife, then you don't count because God only recognizes the wife of his youth. All right, so I'm sure you've heard these things before, and if you haven't, well, guess what? I'll go ahead and introduce this concept to you for the first time. And therefore, when you watch this video, you will be fully caught up and you will fully understand how these people don't know what they're talking about. So we're definitely going to go ahead and get into it. But once again, they'll say things like, read Malachi chapter 2, and you'll read about the wife of thy youth. So we're definitely going to be getting that as well. You know we're going to get that. But we're going to get some understanding on what it actually means before we get to Malachi chapter 2. This way, when you get there, you'll be all caught up. All right, so as you already know, for the most part, in most of my lessons, I always give you things in the Hebrew language and also in the English language. Or I'll give you things in the English language. And then, of course, to give you translation, I'll show you, of course, on the screen. So when you see the word young man or youth, of course, it's the word na'er. Na'er, which will be the Hebrew letter nun, the Hebrew letter ayin, and the Hebrew letter resh with the patach vowel point. That's like a little minus sign under there. You'll see it, of course. So you see the word na'er. You see the word na'ur. You will see that. All right. With different vowel points, of course. Under the nun, under the na'ur, it will be a kamatz, which is like a little plus sign. And then under the ayin, you may see a kibbutz or you may see a sharuk vowel, which makes oo sound. And then, of course, you see the letter resh, of course. If we're dealing with a young woman, it would be na'era. All right, so what do these things mean when it says the wife of thy youth, or like the guide of your youth, if you will? All right, because there's more than one way how to deal with this word and more than one context. All right, so let me go ahead and get my screen on up. Get your Bibles out, ladies and gents. All right. I'll give you about 10 seconds to get your Bible out. We're going to go ahead and get us some understanding. All right. So we're going to get to it, ladies and gents. As I was just telling you, the word na'er is the word for youth, of course. Okay. Now, in case you may or may not know, this word na'er can be used from the time when you're a baby all the way up into the teenage years. Okay, so from an infant all the way up into, your teenage years, when you're considered to be a young man. Not to be confused with us today in our time, when we have like the legal age of consent, etc. In most states, of course, would be around 18. All right. So, when we consider you to be an adult, you know what I'm saying, at 18 or out of your mother's house at 19 plus, aka your college years, up until you reach full adulthood, which is about 21, of course. So not to be confused with that. Don't go into this with your Americanized mindset. All right. So this word na'er is clearly misunderstood. And of course, as you know, as I always do, I'm going to give you examples. So when we look at the wife of your youth passage, that's going to make lots of sense. So when we see words like na'ura or na'ur, etc., which is a maid, a boy, a youthful boy, etc., it's not an adult. All right, it's not in full adulthood as you would classify today. Let's see. Also, you can also have the word na'er, which would be referred to again as a baby. Matter of fact, let's get that as well. Go to Exodus chapter 2. All right, Exodus chapter 2. All right, and we're going to look at verse 6. All right, Exodus 2 and 6. I'll give you a little second to get there. All right. All right, so here we go. This is what we're going to read right here. Okay, so the first word is vatiftach, which means, and when she opened it, right here, right there, and when she opened it, all right, then we have the next word here, all right, vatir ehu, and she saw, et, which is who? Who did she see? Ha, which is the, yeled, which is the child, okay? The, meaning and, ine, behold, is about to reveal something. Behold, na'ar, the babe, the baby, of course. Boche, cried, okay? So here it is, the baby cried. Now let's go and look for the word babe, verse 6. The baby. Right here. Look at what we have here. Na'er. Remember I told you earlier? Na'er. See this? A boy. Look at this. From the age, look right here, from the age of infancy to adolescence. Infancy is a baby. Adolescence would be what? Your preteen years. Like your teen years. By implication, a servant, also interchange of sex, a girl, this is not arrow, of course, of a similar latitude age, babe, boy, child, damsel, from the margin, lad, servant, young man. So this is when you were extremely young, but we're going to get some understanding about how young, because remember, only the wife of thy youth count. This is what is being said. So we need to get some understandings. So here we go. Moses, of course, when he was a babe, he was called Na'er. Na'er. Now, what about Samuel's childhood? Let's take a look at the Hebrew word there. 2 Samuel. No, it's actually 1 Samuel. 1 Samuel chapter 12. 1 Samuel chapter 12. Okay. 1 Samuel chapter 12. And let's look at the first verse. It says, and Samuel said unto all Israel, behold, I have hearkened or listened unto your voice. It says, and all that ye said unto me, and have made a king over you. Verse 2. And now, behold, the king walketh before you, and I am old and gray-headed, and behold, my sons are with you, and I have walked Look at this. I've walked before you from what? From my childhood unto this day. Now, what is he talking about here? He says, I've walked before you from his childhood unto this day. That sounds like that one scripture when it said, and the child Samuel grew on, like when he grew on and was he had favor with the Most High, and he was also with men. And yeah, the Lord also with men. This is what he was talking about. We're going to read that though. Okay? But he said from his childhood. Let's look at that here. This is the word I was telling you. Ne'urah, ne'ur, and another word, na'ur. Now look at the root word, nun, ayin, resh, as you see right there. Here it is again, nun, ayin, resh. Here it is again, nun, ayin, not the vowel point right there, the shirut vowel, but the resh has the same root word. But look at what it says here. Youth. Look at this, that's a juvenile. Young person, in other words, childhood, youth. That word comes from the root word, na'er, which is a boy. At the age of infancy to adolescence, as I was telling you earlier. Wow. So, let's go to 1 Samuel, because remember he said, when he walked before you from his childhood, and we saw this word here, right? Which is the word again, na'er, the same root word. How do we know? Because we click right here. Tell us right here. Same word there. Hopefully you all paying attention. So let's go back, because he said from you to childhood, right? Yep, sure did. 1 Samuel 2, I think it's 26. Look at this. And the child Samuel grew on and was in favor both with the Lord and also with men. That's what it was talking about in that 1 Samuel 12 and 2, when he said he had walked before you from his childhood into this day. So this is when he was chosen. But look at this right here. Boom. Child. Na'er. Look at that. This is when he was in his youth. All right. Because we're going to get some understanding later when dealing with the child of your youth. Matter of fact, chapter 3. Let's get that. Verse 1. And the child Samuel ministered to serve unto the Lord before Eli. And the word of the Lord was precious in those days. And there was no open vision in the child. Look at what we got here, y'all. Same word. This boy, he's a boy child. Look at that. Verse 8. It says, and the Lord called Samuel again the third time, and arose and went to Eli and said, here am I, for thou didst call me. And Eli perceived, understood, or acknowledged that the Lord had called the child. Here it is again, y'all. Right here. Look at this. Not to be confused with this type of youth, as we're going to go here. Let's go to, no, it's Ecclesiastes. Ecclesiastes chapter 11. It says, rejoice, O young man, in your youth. We're going to click on that. So he's telling him to rejoice in your youth. And it says, and let your heart cheer in the days of your youth, and walk in the ways of your heart and in the sight of your eyes. But know that for all these things, God will bring thee into judgment. Therefore, remove sorrow in your heart and put away evil from your flesh. For childhood and youth are vanity, which we're going to get some understanding, because this here in the Hebrew language has a different word for the word youth. It has the word shachor, which means black, but this is dealing with dawn, of course, which of course I'll do in a second. So dealing with verse 9, of course, all right, when it talked about that word, matter of fact, let me just show you, oh young man. First, now keep this in mind, guys. Remember this word, because it's going to be very important later. Very important later. So we see the word bahur, and the same here, bahur. Because later we're going to see the word bahurot, which is in the plural sense. But it's the same root word, the bait, the chet, and the letter resh. All right? So here it is. We have this word, bachur. This is a youth, but this is an older youth. He's talking about a young man. All right. And we're going to find out later which youth is it talking about. Because remember, this is the wife of your youth. But I have to show you these things first. And so you can get the Hebraic sense. And then we'll go ahead and read it in English, of course. That cool? Of course it is. So it says, "O young man in your youth, let your heart be cheerful in these days of your youth." Here we go. Bechorim. Look at the same root words to beit, chet, resh. Same word. But then, of course, you have the masculine plural, because they have the hirio mem for my Hebrew readers. Then you have the feminine, which has the word ot. But here, the beit, the chet, and then there's the resh again. Bechorot. And we're going to see that later in 1 Timothy 4:12, I believe, in Hebrew New Testament. And here we have Bechorot. Same thing. All right, Bechorot. All right, dealing with youth. Young man, youth. All right, you see that? So now we have the word na'er, as we saw earlier. Then we have the word Bechorot or Bechur. Okay? We saw these things, ladies and gents. So, was there anything else I want to point out? Let's see. Rejoice, O young man of your youth, and let your heart be cheered in the days of your youth. Verse 10. It says, "Therefore remove sorrow from your heart and put away evil from your flesh, for the childhood," all right, Yildut has the word Yeled. Of course, when dealing with the boy. Yeled, as we saw earlier. Hopefully you were paying attention. As you were paying attention, you're like, wow, wait, he did show that word earlier. Judah did show that. So going here, this word childhood, Yildut, all right, which of course has the word Yeled. This is the other word for youth. So we're going to find out what word was that when dealing with the wife of thy youth. And what is the sense or the understanding of that word? All right. So we just seen different words for the word Yeled, of course. All right. Hopefully, of course, this is helpful. Now, before we deal with, I guess you could say the bit of the mystery here, because remember I told you earlier the word was shachor, which means black. All right, here we go. Adorning. All right. Dawning. That's going to mean something later as we go back. I didn't know that was right there. Look at that. Blackness. Why does it say that? Because the root word there. Shachar. See that? Shachar. Properly to dawn. All right. Go up early. All right. So this is dealing with dawn as in early childhood or early childhood, of course. All right. Dawn. Origins, if you will. Okay. Now, earlier, remember when we saw this word here? No, my bad. Here we go. Boom. Here. Bechorim, which is the beit, chet, resh, then the word bechorot. Remember that? Sure you do. Let's go to chapter 12, and let's look at the first verse, ladies and gentlemen. So it says, "Remember now your creator in the days of your youth." Now, all this is going to be important later when we start talking about the wife of your youth, because remember they say, oh, only the wife of your youth counts. So we have to fully understand what youth means. So here we go, youth. Same word we just saw. Hopefully y'all paying attention. Hopefully you're getting your screenshots or writing this down so you can go back and revisit this. All right, because of course I can almost guarantee you after you get the sense of the understanding, you go back and look at these words and be like, oh, okay, cool. Bechorim, Bechorot, Yeled. Okay, cool. Bachur. Okay, Na'er. Oh, yeah, woman, Na'era. Okay, cool. Got it. Oh, makes sense now. Wait, they taking that scripture out of context. And then if it did, I don't want to give it away. So, right here, we have that word there, right? Now, that being said, remember the root word, beit, chet, resh. Remember that. Coming from the root word right here. Beit, chet, resh. See that? Youth. Look at that. Young man. So, ladies and gents, what am I getting at here? Words in the Hebrew language mean something, and we are going to get the understanding of what these words actually mean. All right. So with that being said, let's go to pull up the Hebrew New Testament real quick. All right. So, both of you got your Bibles with you guys, because we're going to go get some understanding, ladies and gents. All right. So let's go to 1 Timothy. Let's see. All right. Let's see. Yeah, I think it's 1 Timothy chapter 4. Yeah. So Igoret Polos Haroshona. So the first epistle of Paul. L to Timotheos. Timothy. Perek, chapter Dalet, fourth letter in Hebrew, numerical value of 4. This is 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 12. Okay? 1 Timothy 4, verse 12. Give you a little second to get there. So, verse 12. Right here. Which reads, Al Yafus Ish et Bechorotecha. So, let no man despise your youth. Of course, is what we're reading here. So, Beit, Chet, Resh. Right there. That's talking the young man. Look at that. Bechu rotecha. Bechu rotecha. This is your. Right there. This is the word for the word you. This is the root word. Beit, Chet, not the sharuk vowel. As I was telling you earlier in the beginning, if you were paying attention. But that resh, I was just showing you all this earlier. If you have to go back and rewind, you will see when I showed you the last verse, I showed the beit, I also showed the chet, and I also showed the Hebrew letter resh. I shown you this. Did I not? Yes, I shown you. Beit, chet, resh. This is dealing with what type of young man? What type of youth? The young man, of course. All right. So this is not to be confused with there's another word for youth that was in a parable. Matter of fact, before we get it in the King James Version, let's go read it in the Good News Bible real quick. Let me switch my screen and share. Let's grab it. Isaiah. Do I got it right here? Good News Bible. No, wait, I'm tripping. It's chapter 54. Chapter 54. Okay. So it says, Jerusalem, you have been like a childless woman. But now you can sing and shout for joy. Now you will have more children than a woman whose husband left her or deserted her. It says, make the tent you live in larger, lengthen the ropes, strengthen the pegs. You will extend your boundaries on all sides. You will get back the land that the other nations now occupy. Cities now deserted will be filled with people. Do not be afraid. You will not be disgraced again. You will not be humiliated, so you will not be ashamed nor confounded, I believe is what it says in the King James. You will forget your unfaithfulness as a young wife, and your desperate loneliness as a widow. Your creator will be like a husband to you. The Lord Almighty is his name. The God of Israel will save you. He is the ruler of all the world. The world, says Muhammad would say. Shout out to that brother. Israel, you are like a young wife. Young wife, deserted by her husband and deeply distressed. But the Lord calls you back to him and says, for a brief moment I left you, or deserted you, or left you, in other words. With deep love, I will take you back. I will take you back. Now, why is this important? because we need to get some understanding. Let's go ahead and pull it up real quick in the KJV. So, dealing with this, it says, "Sing, O barren, that thou didst not bear." I mean, you didn't have what? A child. "Break forth into singing and cry aloud. Thou didst not travail with child." So this is dealing with what? Birth pains. So you haven't experienced that. It says, "For more are the children of the desolate or without than the children of the married wife, saith the Lord." Remember, we learned that she was a young wife. "Enlarge the place of thy tent and stretch forth thy curtains," which is the pegs, "of the inhabitants. Spare not, lengthen thy cords and strengthen thy stakes." My bad, that's the pegs. It says, "For thou shalt break forth on the right hand and on the left, and thy seed shall inherit the nations of the Gentiles," or the people. Goy. Root word goyim, nations. So it says, I'm sorry, the root word, the plural form. Sorry about that. It says, "And make desolate the cities to be inhabited." Desolate, deserted, without. It says, "Fear not, for thou shalt not be ashamed." Then it says, "Neither," let me move this thing out of the way. Okay. "Neither be thou confounded, for thou shalt not be put to shame. For thou shalt forget the shame of thy youth." Youth. Now this is a different word. Alum. Alum. We're going to talk about that in a second. So it says, where we at? Right to thy youth, alum, "and shall not remember the reproach of thy widowhood anymore. For your maker is thy husband," talking about the Lord. "The Lord of hosts is his name, and thy Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel." Oh, it's two. "The God of the whole earth shall be called. For the Lord hath called thee as a woman forsaken or neglected, forgotten about, and grieved in spirit, and a wife of youth." Youth, look at this. Na'ura. Who been paying attention earlier? Look at this. Nun, ayin, resh. Nun, ayin, resh. Nun, ayin, not the shrewd vowel, but resh. Same thing I've been showing y'all earlier. If you rewind, you'll go back. This is a very young woman here. So then it goes on to say, where we at? Oh, here we go. "And as a wife of you, when thou was refused, saith your God, for a moment have I forsaken thee, but with great mercies will I gather you." All right, so remember earlier we learned what was it? The husband, Israel, youth. Right here for verse 4, youth. Has the word alum. All right, alum, which has the root word there, elim. Now look, pay attention to this. Matter of fact, let me copy and paste it down here so you can see this really quick. This is going to be very important. Let me make it bigger for you. So here it is. When it says, "Fear not, for thou shalt not be ashamed nor confounded. Thou shalt not be ashamed, for thou shalt forget the shame of thy youth," meaning when you were a youngster, a little young whippersnapper, when you were a virgin, untouched. "Remember the reproach of your widowhood anymore." All right? Don't remember that anymore. So when you were in your youth, at this point, you were not touched. Not touched. But look at the word. There's the word here. Alum. Alum. When in your youth. And it says vigor, I mean when you were in your strength. All right? Now this word, alum, is the root word here. Alam. That means to conceal. To be out of sight. If something is concealed and out of sight, that means it ain't touched. Yeah. So going back to that word youth. So we just seen that word alam, and then let's go down here. Elam, from the masculine point. To keep out of sight. That is a lad. Young man, stripling. That's a youngster. A little youngster. Why is this important? Because guess what? This little youngster right here, of course, out of sight. So I love how the Hebraic words express things. Isaiah 7, verse 14, when it says, therefore the Lord himself shall give thee a sign. Behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son. He shall call his name Emmanuel. All right. So here. All right. Hopefully you all following along. So it says, Isaiah 7:14, it says, Lachain Yatin, Adonai. So it says, oh yeah, Hu Lachem Ot Hine Ha Alma. Right there, Alma. But it has the root word ayin, which you see right here down at the bottom, ayin. Then you have the lamed right there, which has the same word right there, lamed. See that? Then you have the mem, but then you have the final mem. That's where you get your mem from. But let's go ahead and click on that real quick. All right. Let's see. Virgin. Boom. Look at that. Alma. Right? Alma. Alas. Damsel. Maid. Virgin. Let's click on that. The root word there. Elem. Look at that. This is the same word we had just clicked on earlier. Did we not? Elem in the masculine sense. Come down here. Alam. Same word. All right. So this is a youngster that ain't been touched in this aspect. Now, ladies and gents, let's go back. Click on 14. Boom. Scroll back down. Click here. So we clicked on one. Let's look at the other one. Alma. Alma. All right. Alma. Virgin as well. Young woman of marriageable age, but she ain't married yet. But she is old enough to be maid or newly married. And that's a whole nother topic. I did a video on this too, dealing with the espousal part, how you can still be considered a wife even though you haven't been touched. But that's another topic. I don't want to go straight too far off. But anyway, go back to Ecclesiastes real quick. 11. Okay, so Ecclesiastes 11. What did I want to show? Remember earlier when we were dealing with the verse 10, dealing with the youth there, and we were dealing with dawning. Remember that? That's definitely something I agree with. The ESV version, it says, remove vexation from your heart and put away from your body, from your youth, the dawn or the origin of life or vanity. See that? Look at that. And remember here, rejoice, O young man, in your youth. Look at that. Yes. So there's different types of youth. Remember I showed you earlier in 1 Timothy 4. I showed you earlier in 1 Timothy 4 the different type of youth, dealing with your bechorot, bechotecha, 1 Timothy 4:16. Remember that? Of course you do. Let's go to Matthew chapter 19 as well. Matthew chapter 19. All right. Here's the word here. Bechotecha. So we're going to go to Matthew 19. Okay. Matthew, boom. Matthew 19. Alrighty, so we have Habisor Hakidosha Alpi Matai, Perek 19. So the Holy Gospel, according to the P or Pe, which is the mouth of Matai, Matthew. Okay, chapter 19. And I believe it's in verse, let's see, Lo tirzach, lo tenaf, lo tenov, lo ta'aneh. So it's dealing with the Ten Commandments. Ad shecher, no lie. Kabed ed avicha ve'ed imecha, honor your father, your mother. V'ahavta l'reka and love your neighbors yourself. Verse 20, value your middle alive. Here we go. Ha Bahor. So this is Matthew 19. I was just reading verse 19, but here, value middle alive, and he said unto them, but who's the he? Ha, the Bahor. Wow, look at that, guys. That's the same root word there. Bait, chait, not the shuruk vowel, but the resh. Didn't I show you that? Et ka ele shamarti. So he's saying in the young man said unto him, it's incomplete. Here we go. Min urai. So from his youth up is what he's saying here. He's kept this from his youth up, meaning the commandments. Uma, and what? Then we have the word ka, sarti, old. And what more am I missing? Is what he asking him. What more am I missing? Because we have the word old, but missing. And then we have, old is for the word more. And then right here, what is he missing right here? But this is the word here. So he's letting you know from the time that he was a boy, he's kept these commandments. In other words, this is the story where the rich man was winning when he went to Christ and asked him what good things shall he do that he may have eternal life. All right, which is right here in verse 16. Vehine ish Nagash. All right, the man of Nagash, alive at Yemer. So, and he said, Rabbi, Hatov, Ma Hatov. That's like, what good thing. Asher, said, so he do. Here we go. Ve'echna Chai Olam. What shall he do that he would have? And he said unto him, good master, what good things shall he do that he should have eternal life, or rabbi, or rebbe, or whatnot. So, dealing with that, in verse 20, this is the word right here for youth. But look what we have here. Nun, ayin, resh. Same thing right there, guys. Let you know from his youth, from the time he was a boy. Let's see, we'll click on that. From my youth. Look at this. From his youth. Let's take the word my off real quick. Oh, wait. There we go. Take the word my. Let me erase that. My. Want some shaking. Let's take the word from off. Boom. Youthfulness. Let's take the vowel off. Boy. Look at that. So when he was a boy in his youthfulness, young boy, young whippersnapper, little strapling. Look at that. We're going to get some understanding, guys. We're going to get some understanding. So right here, from my youth. But how old? Little boy. Little boy. Remember, we're going to be dealing later, the wife of thy youth. The wife of thy youth. So, let's go to Proverbs chapter 5 now. Book of Proverbs, chapter 5. All right, verse 18. Okay. All right there. Boom. Here's the word right here from your youth. All right, from your youth. So it says, yeah, ye elect, Mekor ka, your fountain, Varuch, it's the word for bless, Ushmach, and rejoice, Me'eshet, with or from the wife, Ne'urecha, of your youth. Let's deal with that real quick. Youth. Na'ur. All right. Na'ur. Youth. Early life. But this is dealing with the sense of a child. Let's go ahead and go back real quick. Na'ur, of your youth. What kind of you? Let's erase this. Boom. Take the word you're off. Boom. Teenager. Look at that. Boom. Oh, let's take that off. Boom. Boy. Teenage boy. In this context here. Look at the age there. Not a full-grown adult. This is when you were young. The girl you married when you were young, but how young? Not yet. Remember I was telling you earlier, hold on. Not what you thinking today, not when you're in your college years or in your young college adult years. This is like a teen, a youngster. Because I'm going to be going somewhere with this later. That's why I said get your American mindset thought process out of this. Let me take a sip of my water. Hold on. Yeah. So get that thought process out of your mind. Matter of fact, let's go back to Proverbs chapter 5. And let's look at let's go to the Good Word version. It says, let your own fountain be blessed and enjoy the girl you married when you were young. A youngster, but now we know that was talking about a young little whippersnapper there. Young little whippersnapper. Let's go here. Where we at? 18 of your youth there. And we're out the way. There we go. Boom. Youth, the state of, look at this. Juvenile. That's why you saw teen there. That's why you saw teen. Childhood, youth. So let's go back. Where we at? Verse 18, youth. Oh, matter of fact, I gotta go pull it from the actual text. I'm tripping. Hold on. Verse 18. Here we go. Neurecha. Let me scoot this down some right here. Here it is down here in the corner. I don't know if you're able to see that. Neurecha. Neurecha. Let's go ahead and copy and paste that one more time. Let's get that real quick. Share that. Boom. Teenager. Look at that. But you're a youngster. You're in your youth. This is not the word bechurot, as we saw earlier. Dealing with 1 Timothy. Here we go. 1 Timothy 4. Verse 12. Where you at? Verse 12. Here we go. Remember this, the bait, the chait. Not the shiriva, but the resh. Remember I was telling y'all that earlier? It's a different type of youth right there. So that's not the word there when you a young man in your youth. It's a young boy, a teenager in your youth. Words matter. Words definitely matter. So, some anti-poly teach that whoever is the wife of your youth, this is the only wife that counts. You know what I was saying it earlier? And then no other wife counts except for the wife of your youth. Now, of course, this is pure madness, of course, but based off this logic, then none of us would count today. None of us. Let's go to Proverbs real quick. Proverbs chapter 2. Might be verse 16. 16. Boom. To deliver thee from the strange woman, even from the stranger, the flattery of her words. No, not that. Boom. Okay. Here we go. Right there. So we have ha utzevech, which is the word to neglect. Aloof, which is the guide. Some would say friend, of course, but this is not a friend in this particular spot. How? Because we were learning earlier about the flight of a strange woman. But this right here, na ureja. Let's go here real quick. Remember earlier, the last one I had up here. Remember this? Boy. But in this verse, I just put from the Proverbs 2 and 17. Let's take the hey, which is the feminine, not the my. Take the my off. Youthfulness, but what kind of youthfulness? Boy, but in this case, remember, I took the hey off, which is feminine. Let me pull it up here. This will be feminine, that letter hey. Let me move this out the way. Hold on. Okay, here we go. All right. Maid, which is who? Maiden. Girl. See that? So the hey was dropped. There it is right here. Remember I dropped the hey, the feminine hey? All right. Look at this right here. It tell you of her youth. Let's go back real quick. All righty. Boom. Wait, why is it doing that? I don't know why I just did that. Let me make sure I copied it right. Okay, here we go. Boom. Drop the mine. Boom. Teenager. Boom. Maid. See that? Little youngster there. Little young whippersnapper. Words matter. Words mean something. All right. So, let's go to back here and let's deal with the oh look, hopefully you all are following along and understanding what is being said. If you have to rewind this, guys, go back, get you some understanding. All right, let me type it in. Proverbs 5 and we're gonna put ULV. All righty. Let's pull it on up. Oh, wait, let me share my screen. I apologize. Sorry, didn't share my screen. Okay, ERV, easy to read version. So here we go. Look at this. Be happy with your own wife, even the woman you married when you were young. That's where you get the little whippersnapper from, guys. That maid there, that youngster. That's where you get that from. That's where you get that from. Let's go back. All right. So, as we learned earlier, that word maid. Young woman, girl, in other words. Hopefully you all are following along. So based upon that little logic that y'all was talking about, boy, that was the God of your youth. Well, it looked like that was messed up, huh? Was forsaken the God of her youth because he was guiding her of her youth and forgetteth the covenant of her God. Yo, that's crazy. So let's go to Psalms 127. All right, so hopefully, again, you're following along. When we go to Psalms in the Tanakh, we're gonna go. Hold on, wait, there we go. Where you at, Psalms? Where you at? Zechariah. Here we go, Tehillim. Psalms. All right. Alrighty. So once again, ladies and gents, hopefully you all are following along. Alrighty. So Psalms 127 and verse 4. So it says, Ki chizim. Matter of fact, let me know if you find the word, guys. Ke chizim. Is that the word? Is it? Biyad. Now you know what a hand is in the hand. Gibor. It's the word of Mahdi. Cain. B'nai. Did I say it yet? Ha. Ne'rim. Did you catch that? Ha ne'rim. Let's focus on this one right here. Ha ne'rim. Matter of fact, let me see something. Let me click on that. I think you could. Can you click on that? The root word? Yeah, here we go. It says na'ar to growl, to shake. Remember we saw that earlier? We're gonna go down. Let's see. What else do we have? Oh, that's the word. Ooh, hold on, wait. Boom. I thought it would show it. Let me see something. Here we go. Na'ur. Youth, early life. Ne'urim, in the plural sense. Youth, early life. Youth, as you see right there. Okay. Let me get bigger on it. All right, narration, youth, early life, youth up. And the figurative speech. Let's see, what else is a friend of my youth. I mean, earlier we learned about the God of your youth, of course. Yeah. Son of a man's youth, youthful vigor. Okay. Second witnessing. Literally. Second witnessing. So, dealing with the Psalms 127, right there again. It's right there again. There's your word for your youngster. Right in the book of Psalms. Right in the book of Psalms, ladies and gents. So we have Ke, which means like or as, Chazim, is arrows, Biyad, in the hand of who? Gibor, which is one who is what? Mighty, a warrior, of course. Then Cain, which can mean so, B'nai, or children of the Ne'ur, or Han-Urim, of the youth. But they were called children. Same root word there, guys. Same root word. Wow. Same root word. Isn't that something? All is gonna make sense in a second. Matter of fact, let's go to the Apocrypha. Well, okay. Son of Sirach. So let's go to book of Sirach, chapter 6. Okay. All right. So, ladies and gents, Sirach chapter 6, and this is verse 18. Okay. So we have B'nai, my son. Min urecha. Is that the word we have there? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Look at that. So, let's copy that. From your youth. Min urecha. Let's take out the word your. Take out the word my. And then we're going to take out the word from. Youthfulness. Take out the sharuk, the oo sound. Boy. But what does it tell us in the Apocrypha? In that particular verse. Let's get the English version up real quick. Sirach, or Ecclesiasticus. Let's pull it up. King James Version. Sirach chapter 6, verse 18. It says, My son, gather instructions from your youth up. From the time you were a boy to the time you grow up. Gather that. Sounds like that rich man earlier in Matthew 19 and 20 when he said all this he's kept from his youth up. What was he missing? That's what he was asking. Christ, who's the Messiah? He was asking him that. All this has he kept from his youth up. What was I missing? And he was a boy in that verse. All right, so let's get another one real quick. Let's go to Numbers 30. Book of Numbers. Let's switch it over to Hebrew text. Okay, Numbers. Let's see. No, I'm tripping. That's during the 7th month. I'm tripping. 30. All right, so ויאמר משה אל בני ישראל ככל אשר זיווה יהוה את משה ותדבר משה אל ראשי המטות לבני ישראל לאמור זה הדבר אשר זיווה יהוה. Here we go. Yes, here we go, right here. So, Numbers 30, and we're going to the third verse. All right. So we have Ish, which would be Ishki, Yidor. So in other words, and if a woman also vow, Nadir, a vow, Yehovah, to the Lord. Okay, so this is dealing with the case if a woman was to vow, all right, to the Lord. All right. Then we have hold on, wait. Let's see. Is this the one I was looking for? No, here. The Isha, and if a woman, Ki, also, Tidur, Nidir. So this is vow to Yahweh, to the Lord. All right, so again, this is dealing with she make an oath. Ve'as ra, meaning like and bind. She bind. Isar, herself by a bound. But then we have be vate aviyah. So this is letting me know that she's being in her father's house. All right. Be meaning in, her. Look at this. Nu'ure has the word na'er, in her youth. So here it is. This is how we know this is a extremely young girl, but she's in her house, in her father's house, but she's in her youth. This is not talking about what you know as like an adult. That makes sense. She's in her father's house and she's in her youth. She's in her youth. Matter of fact, look, Benurecha. We'll see that word again down here. Let's move out the way. Right here. Boom. There it is again. Look at this. In her youth, in her father's house. In other words. Look at that. In her youth, in her father's house. Who? His daughter. Look at that. His daughter in her youth being in his father's house. So when you're talking about the wife of your youth, first off, woman, you're not even in your youth anyway. You weren't even living with your daddy, even in your father's house, in your daddy's house. Anyway. So it don't even apply to you. The women who be complaining, talk about the polygyny, it don't even apply to you. At all. At all. Let's go ahead real quick. Hold on. This was the word. I don't know why I show up like that. That's crazy. In the teenager. Look at that. Woman, you ain't no teen. This ain't you at all. Let's check out the in the teenager. Teen. Remember we learned earlier, you can go from the time that you are a baby to an adolescence. We learned that earlier. Exodus 2 and 6, we saw the same root word right there, dealing with Moshe. So, Numbers 30. Verse 3, if a woman also vow a vow unto the Lord and bound herself by a bond, right there, being in her father's house, in her youth, right here, bin urecha. Look at this. Na'ur. So, let's see, here we go. Youth, childhood, youth, early life. Let's see, also, do it how it shows. Matter of fact, I may have to go here because I think it shows a little more. I could be wrong, but let me see. All right, Numbers 30, verse 3. All right, so in the youth, remember this from earlier. Na'ur. Remember I was telling you that earlier? Comes from this word here, na'er. You know, I was showing you that, boy. I mean, this is a straight youngster. And I told you earlier, from the age of infancy to adolescence. So when it's na'er, it's a boy. Na'era, it's a young woman or a young girl, of course, in a sense. But not what you thinking of today, dealing with 18 and older. No, it's not that. So, Exodus, remember I told you that Exodus 2 and 6. Right here, Moses is called a babe. Same word, na'er. Look at that. Down there. From the age of infancy to adolescence. That's what it is right there. So when y'all the wife of your youth, woman, ain't even talking about your old ass. Anyway, only the wife of your youth count. Woman, she got married when she was 25. She got married when she was 30. She got married when she was 40, etc., etc. He married her at this age, at 36. That couldn't even be the wife of his youth, if anything, if you want to use that at all. Dealing with the youth part, this is a person that is extremely young. This doctrine that y'all coming up with is crazy. For example, look, I'm going to give another hint or another clue on how you know what I'm saying is to be true. Let's deal with David. Remember when David went up against Goliath? Wasn't he a youngster? Let's see about that. Let's go to 1 Samuel chapter 16. When David was anointed king. Pay very close attention. So it says, and the Lord said unto Samuel, how long wilt thou mourn for Saul, seeing that I've rejected him for being over Israel? It says, fill the horn with oil and go, and I will send thee to Jesse, the Bethlehemite, for I have provided me a king among his sons. Verse 2. And Samuel said, how can I go? If Saul hear it, he will kill me. And the Lord said, take an heifer with thee, and say, I've come to sacrifice unto the Lord. And call Jesse to the sacrifice, and I will show thee what thou shalt do, and thou shalt anoint unto him whom I name unto thee. So in other words, when you sacrifice that oil that I told you to get, yeah, I'm gonna show you who you need to anoint. All right, so since you saying Saul gonna kill you, look, just go in there and say, hey, you know, I'm about to sacrifice or whatnot. But remember, he's going with a purpose, and that's to anoint the future king of Israel. Not the king yet, but promised king. Verse 4, and Samuel did that which the Lord spake, and came to Bethlehem. And the elders of the town trembled at his coming, like, oh gosh, and said, comest thou peacefully? Like, are you coming in peace? And he said, peaceably. Yes, I'm coming in peace. I come to sacrifice unto the Lord. Sanctify yourselves and come with me to the sacrifice. And he sanctified Jesse and his sons, and he called them to the sacrifice. And it came to pass when they were come, then he looked on Eliab and said, surely the Lord's anointed is before him. But the Lord said unto Samuel, look not upon his countenance, nor the height of his stature, because I have refused him. For the Lord does not see it as man seeth. For the man looketh on the outward appearance, but the Lord looketh upon the heart. So even though he was this big, strong looking man, surely that's God anointed. The Lord was like, no, he ain't gonna make it. All right. Verse 8. Then Jesse called Abinadab and made him pass before Samuel and said, neither have the Lord chosen this. Then Jesse made Shammah to pass by, and he said, neither have the Lord chosen this. Like, he ain't choose him either. And again, Jesse made 7 of his sons to pass before Samuel. And Samuel said unto Jesse, the Lord have not chosen these. Verse 11. And Samuel said to Jesse, are here all your children? Like, is this all your children right here? And he said, there remaineth yet the youngest. Look at this, y'all. The youngest of them, right? And behold, he keepeth the sheep. Like, he's tending to the sheep or watching over the sheep. And Samuel said unto Jesse, send and fetch for him. We will not sit down till he come hither. And he sent and brought him in. Now he was ready, and withal of a beautiful countenance of appearance, and goodly to look to. And the Lord said, arise, anoint him, for this is he. So the first thing I want to point out, David's father had 7 sons. 7. And he was the youngest. He was the youngest. And he was the one that was anointed to be king. Now I'm going somewhere with this. Check this out. Matter of fact, let me grab what's that? What is it? I ain't gonna worry about it. Okay. 1 Samuel 17:1. 1 Samuel 17:11. It says, when Saul and Israel had heard those words of the Philistines, they were dismayed. I mean, they were fearful and greatly afraid. So this is dealing with the story of David and Goliath. All right. David and Goliath is what we're dealing with. All right. Now, hopefully, if you've read this story, you remember David was a young boy during this time. He was a young boy. And remember, this is when he went up against who? Goliath. Right? Of course. So, verse 12. Now, David was the son of that Ephrathite of Bethlehem, Judah, whose name was Jesse. And he had 8 sons. And the man went among men for an old man in the days of Saul. So remember, David has 7 other siblings. And remember, he was the youngest out of them. It says, and 3 eldest sons of Jesse, which is David's brothers, went and followed Saul to the battle. So that means what? He was in the army. He was in the army. Now, why is that important? Because how do we know David, who was in his youth, was a boy and not a man? Remember, we had a law about going to war. Israelites had to be of age before they went to war. How do we know? Look, let's look at that. Numbers 20. Verse 3. Let's see. No. Numbers 1. Yeah. It says, and the Lord spake unto Moses in the wilderness of Sinai, in the tabernacle of the congregation of the first day of the second month, in the second year after they come out of the land of Mizraim in Egypt, saying, take ye the sum, this is like the census, of all the congregation of the children of Israel, after their families by the house of their fathers, with the number of their names, every male by their posts, dealing with a census. Look at this, from 20 years old and upward. All that are able to go forth to war in Israel. Thou, Aaron, shall number them by their armies. So we went to war at a certain age. That was when you were 20 and up. Isn't that something? You were 20 and up when you went to war. Isn't that something? So, seeing that David, as I told you, was a boy, he was the youngest. His elder brother was in the war, but not him. And why is that? Let's go back to 1 Samuel, chapter 17, verse 11. Verse 11 says, and when Saul and all Israel heard those words of the Philistines, they were dismayed and greatly afraid. Now David was the son of that Ephrathite of Bethlehem, Judah, whose name was Jesse. And he had 8 sons, and the man, he had 8 sons that went among men for an old man in the days of Saul. Verse 13. And the 3 eldest sons of Jesse went and followed Saul to the battle. And the names of his 3 sons that went in the battle were Eliab, the firstborn, and the next unto him Abinadab, and the third Shimei. Remember, those were the 3 sons that he had approached to be anointed as king. But then it says, and David was the youngest, and the 3 elders followed Saul. So, but David went and returned from Saul to feed his father's sheep at Bethlehem. So he didn't go. It says, and the Philistine drew near morning and evening and presented himself 40 days. And Jesse said unto David his son, take now for thy brethren an ephah of this parched corn and these 10 loaves, and run to the camp to thy brethren. Why? Because he was dealing with who? His brothers. And carry these 10 cheeses unto the captain of the 1,000, and look how thy brethren fare, and take their pledge. Let's jump down real quick. So let me take it out of this. No, I'll keep it on here. I'm gonna start in 32. It says, and David said to Saul, let no man's heart fail because of him thy servant will go and fight with the Philistine. Now remember, y'all know this story, right? People were scared to fight Goliath. David was like, I go fight him. Verse 33, and Saul said unto David, thou art not able to go against this Philistine to fight with him, for thou art but a youth, and he a man of war from his youth. So he's saying, you ain't able to go and fight no damn Goliath of the Philistines. You ain't nothing but a boy. The man you trying to fight has been going to war since he was a boy. Isn't that something? But remember, in our custom, we went to war at 20 and up. So let you know that David had to have been under 20. He had to be anywhere between 10 to 15, etc. Because here it is. Let's just say if he'd have been 18, 19, 17, they'd probably been like, all right. But obviously he had to be real young for them to be saying, nah, you ain't nothing but a boy. The one you trying to go up against, bro, he been doing this since he was a boy. You ain't got that much experience to be doing that. So let's look at the word for you there. He told him, you ain't nothing but a little whippersnapper. Look at this. In that era. Remember, a boy from the age of infancy to adolescence. Look at that. What does adolescence mean? What does adolescence mean, guys? At what age is that? Let's see. Let's go here real quick. Oh, wait, let me show you. Hold on. Pull it back up. Sorry about that. Okay. Fine adolescence. The period of one's puberty during a young person develops from a child to an adult. Teens, youth, as you see right there, young adulthood, young days, early life. This is what y'all seen when I was showing y'all this earlier. Look at this, juvenilely. Same thing, puberty. You a youngster. Teens. Look at this. So here it is. David was a teen and yet was called youth. Let's go back here. Youth. Same thing. Look at this. Babe, boy, child, damsel, loud, young man. Youth. Lad. Isn't that something? Isn't that something? Look at this, young male. How young? A young man, child, lad, young, children, youth, babe, boy. And that makes sense. Why they didn't want him to go to war. Because he was just a youngster. Like, yo, you trying to go up against and fight against a person that's been doing this since he was a kid. Okay, let's see what the NET text say. Says verse 32, but it says David said to Saul, don't let anyone be discouraged. Your servant will go and fight this Philistine. But Saul replied to David, you aren't even able to go against this Philistine and fight him. You're just a boy. You are just a boy. He has been a warrior from his youth. So here it is, guys. He was a boy during this time. He wasn't even old enough to go to war. At all. See what the Good News Bible say. Look at this. Verse 33 says, no, answered Saul. How could you fight him? You're just a boy. And he's been a soldier all his life. So here it is. He was just a boy. So when we dealing with wife of your youth, when we dealing with the youth, this is a person who's just a boy. And if it's talking about a woman, wife of your youth, this is the one who's just a girl, her teenage years, up until the time of her adolescence. Not to be confused with today's time of what we have as a young man or a young woman. It's not the same. Wait a minute. So the wife of your youth, the guide of your youth, is one who's young. What am I getting at? If their argument is the only one that counts as the wife of your youth, in order for somebody to get something done like that, they would have to be what you call a pedophile today. Most of the women who's claiming this, like, woman, you probably even got no man. You ain't even a wife. Number two, you got married at how old? Did you get married in high school? No? Well, there goes that out the window. There go that out the window. And we're going to be going to this Malachi too. Matter of fact, we're going to go ahead and go there next. But you didn't get married in high school. You ain't even a wife of a youth. People think that wife of your youth just means first wife. No, it doesn't mean that. One who you married when you were young. Specifically, we just seen all the way up to the time of adolescence. So, biblically speaking, who is the wife of your youth? Israel was dealt with as the wife of your youth. Why? Because Israel is his firstborn. Exodus 4:22. A babe. Oops. Didn't think about that though, did you? So let's go ahead and go to Malachi chapter 2. All right. Let's go ahead and get it. Book of Malachi chapter 2. All right. Give you a little second to get there. All right. So this is when the Lord was rebuking the priest. I'm going to get a little bit of this real quick. So the priesthood during this time, let me take it out this. The priesthood during this time was what you would consider to be corrupt. But why were they corrupt? Was it because of meat? No. It's not why they were corrupt. So when we read Malachi, the 2nd chapter, don't forget to go to Malachi chapter 1. So I'm going to switch gears a little bit and give you a little taste real quick of the context of Malachi chapter 2. So let's go here. Boom. Malachi chapter 2. Chapter 1. All right, right here. Look at it, tell you right here. The priest polluted offerings. Now, why is that? Because look, real quick, if you go to Leviticus 22, challenge you all to read this chapter. There were things that the children of Israel could not sacrifice. I'll give example right here. Here's some examples, but read the whole chapter. Okay. So it says, matter of fact, here we go. Let's see. I'm gonna just go ahead and read it. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Aaron and his sons, and to all the children of Israel, and say unto them, Whatsoever it be of the house of Israel, or the strangers, that will offer his oblation, a sacrifice for all his vows, and for all his freewill offerings, which they will offer unto the Lord for a burnt offering. Verse 19. You shall offer it your own. It says, will a male without blemish of the bees, of the sheep, and of the goats. But whatsoever have a blemish, like whatever has a defect on it, something's wrong with it, it says, that shall you not offer. So they were commanded not to offer animals that were defective. This is how the priesthood became corrupt, because they were sacrificing animals that the Most High commanded them not to sacrifice. All right, this is one of the reasons why he didn't want to accept our sacrifices. One of the reasons why. But anyway, it says, for it shall be not acceptable for you. Look at that. He didn't want to accept that. Look at that. Told you should not offer. Then it says, and whosoever offer the sacrifice of peace offerings unto the Lord, accomplish his vow, or free will offers the bees of the sheep, it shall be perfect and accepted. There shall be no blemish therein. No blemish. Then it says, blind or broken or maimed, or having a wind or scurvy or scab. It's dealing with animals that are what? Lame. Right? It says, ye shall not offer these unto the Lord, nor make an offering by fire upon the altar unto the Lord. Either a bullock or a lamb that have anything superfluous of lacking in its parts, that thou mayest thou offer a freewill offering before a vow, it shall not be accepted. You should not offer unto the Lord that which is bruised or crushed or broken or cut, neither shall ye make any offering thereof in your land. So it's letting us know, look, don't just be bringing him no anything. All right, don't do it. All right, so the children of Israel went away from that, well, the priests specifically. All right, so when you read Malachi, the 2nd chapter, about the priesthood basically being corrupt, that's where that was happening. All right, because there's a doctrine that goes out that teaches this. So Malachi 1 verse 6, it says, the son honors his father and the servant his master. If then I be a father, where is mine honor? And if I be a master, where is my fear, said the Lord of hosts? O priests that despise my name and say, wherein have we despised our name? Now, how do we do that? You offer a sacrifice polluted bread upon my altar. That's the showbread that the priest was supposed to have. That bread, they polluted it. Bread. And say, wherein have we polluted thee? And that ye say, the table of the Lord is contemptible. What table is he talking about? The table of the Lord is contemptible. Hebrews 9, real quick. It says, then verily that first offering had also had an ordinance of the divine service of the worldly sanctuary. For that was the tabernacle made, the first wherein was the menorah or the candlestick, and the table and the showbread, which is called the sanctuary. He said that table was contemptible. Let's go back to Malachi 1:7. It says, you offer a sacrifice, polluted bread upon my altar, and you say, where and how have we polluted thee? In the day that the table, and in that ye say, the table of the Lord is contemptible. That's the table that was in the temple that the Levites was dealing with. Because, and if you offer the blind for sacrifice. Now, wait a minute. We just learned earlier you couldn't do it in Leviticus 22. He said, is it not evil? And if you offer the lame and sick, these animals that have defective problems with it, cut, bruised, broken, etc., is it not evil? Offer it now unto thy governor. Will he be pleased with you? So in other words, if you go offer this to your governor, one who's ruling, you think he gonna be happy with that? You gonna bring him something that is got defects on it, it's polluted, lame and sick, it can't even want none of that. He ain't gonna accept that. So accept a person, said the Lord of hosts. So he says, now I pray thee, beseech God, and he will be gracious unto us. This has been by your means, will he regard your person, said the Lord of hosts. So here it is, long story short, the foods that they were bringing, or the meat they were bringing to sacrifice, it was defective. It says, who is there among you that will shut the doors for naught? Neither do you kindle fire on my altar for naught. I have no pleasure in you, said the Lord of hosts, neither will I accept an offering at your hand. Why? Because it wasn't a pure sacrifice. Something was wrong with it. It was blind. It was lame and sick. Had polluted bread, of course. The holy table was contemptible. No. Then he says, look at the future prophecy. And from the rising of the sun to the going down of the same, my name will be great among the nations of the Gentiles. And in every place incense shall be offered unto my name, and a pure offering, a pure sacrifice. For my name shall be great among the heathen of the nations, saith the Lord of hosts. Look at that. There's a pure sacrifice. Pure. What I said, offering. Look at that. A sacrificial offering. Oblation. Look at that. It's the same. So dealing with this, excuse me. 1 Kings 18:29. When dealing with that, when you go here the past and the prophesied unto the offering of the evening sacrifice, it's the same Hebrew word there. Look at this. Mincha. Same word you see for offering. Mincha. In that verse. He says, but you have profaned in it. Yet ye say the table of the Lord is polluted, and the fruit thereof, even in his meat. Even in his meat. Food, eating, meal, meat, prey, victuals, still with an animal. Job 9:26. Look at this. It says, there are passed away as the swift ships, as the eagle that have hasted or hurried to the prey. Same Hebrew word. That's talking about an animal. Ochel, something that you eat there. So, going back, that's what the ochel means, to eat. What we at? Verse 13. It says, "You said also, what a weariness it is, and yet you snuffed at it, saith the Lord of hosts, and you brought that which is torn." Look at that, and lame and sick, guys. Was the Lord happy with that? Was he happy with that? Huh? No, not at all. Not at all. It was torn. Now remember, what's that? Leviticus 22:8, real quick. Leviticus, and I'm gonna get right back on topic real quick. I want to grab this out the way. It says, that which dieth of itself or is torn with beasts, he shall not eat to defile himself with the Lord. Look at that. Going back to Malachi. Come on, Malachi, where you at? Boom, there we go. Malachi 1, boom. It says, and lame and sick, yet you brought an offering. Shall I accept of this at your hand, saith the Lord? But cursed be the deceiver, them which have in his flock a male and voweth and sacrifice unto the Lord. What a corrupt thing. For I am great king, said the Lord of hosts, and my name is dreadful among the heathen. That's why when you go into chapter 2, that's why he rebuked the priest. That's why he did that. This is exactly why. That's the long story short. Let's go to your Good News Bible real quick. All right. So hopefully you're in your Malachi chapter 2. All right. Let's jump on down to verse 10 first. It says, don't we all have the same Father? Didn't the same God create us all? Then why do you break our promises to another? And why do we despise the covenant God made with our ancestors? All right. So we already learned what the priests did. They were sacrificing animals that God didn't want them to do. Then it says the people of Judah have broken their promise to God and done a horrible thing in Jerusalem, all over the country. They have defiled the temple which the Lord loves. Men have married women who worship foreign gods. This is the problem right here that's on the table, guys, because we're going to pull up in the KJV as well. They were marrying idolatrous women. In other words, strange women. Now, this is the passage that people use, that they hang on when they say, oh, don't forget the wife of your youth. So now we get some context. They marrying women who worship foreign gods. Psalms 96, 4 and 5 tells us that he's to be greatly praised above all gods. And it said the gods of the nation are idols. So we got idolatry. So we got some context here. And I'm be going back. So dealing with this, the people of Judah have broken their promise to God and done a terrible thing in Jerusalem. And all the country, they have defiled the temple which the Lord loves. Men have married women who worship foreign gods. So this is what these men were doing. This is not the same as brothers in the Hebrew community, brothers who was bringing brothers who was bringing them into the truth and dealing with them in the truth and not putting up with women serving an idol. So when y'all said, when y'all be saying, the wife of your youth, isn't that something? Isn't that something? Verse 11. Let me pull this up real quick. It says right here, have we all not have we not all one Father? Have not one God created us? Why do we deal treacherously every man against his brother by profaning the covenant of our ancestors? This ain't got nothing to do with no polygyny at all. Why y'all trying to use Malachi chapter 2? Ain't got nothing to do with that. It says right here, Judah have dealt treacherously, and we're gonna learn later this is basically dealing with divorce, etc. Treacherously, and an abomination is committed in Israel and in Jerusalem. This has nothing to do with polygyny. But Judah have profaned the holiness of the Lord which he loved, and have married the daughter of a strange god. So this is women who worship who? Foreign gods. Look at that. This is clearly the man putting away his woman and marrying women who is in idolatry. He broke the covenant. This is being unfaithful. And if you want to look at unfaithful as cheating, in the sense of, oh, he did blah, 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 then okay, you still struck out. Because men like me teach honest polygyny. We don't deal with men cheating on their women, lying to them, sneaking and hiding and manipulating the situation at all. Don't throw us in the same box as them niggas at all. Verse 12. Let's go ahead and get that too. It says, the Lord will cut off the man that doeth this, the master, which would be the watcher, and the scholar, which is the speaker. Let me make sure on that. Hold on. The master. The idea, look at this. Opening the eyes. That's why I call it the watcher. All right. Opening eyes. Awake up. Or raise up self. And the scholar said the reason. The reader. Look at that. That's why I can announce. One who speaks. Testify, utter. So that's why I said that. All right. So, because when you're reading, you're doing what? You're speaking out. So I can get why they put that as well. Respond, testify, speak, shout. Okay. So, verse 12 again. It says, the Lord will cut. Oh, let me take it off this real quick. Verse 12. It says, the Lord will cut off the man that doeth this, the watcher and the speaker. All right. It says, out of the tabernacles of Jacob, and him that offereth an offering, which is a sacrifice unto the Lord of hosts. Verse 13, which says, it says, and this have you done again, covering the altar of the Lord with tears, with weeping, and with crying out, insomuch that it regardeth not the offering anymore, and it receiveth with good at your hand. Now, those who have read chapter 1, verse 6 to 14, as we just went over so eloquently, and you were paying attention, look, it says, yet ye say, wherefore? Because the Lord hath been a witness between you and the wife of thy youth, against whom you have dealt treacherously. She is your companion, your guide, and the wife of your covenant. So let me get this straight. How does this apply to a man who is open and honest and he didn't lie to his wife? Like, let's say if we're going to look at this from y'all perspective, saying, oh, the wife of your you. Before dealing with this, how does this apply to a man who's open and honest and he didn't lie to his wife? A man who told her what it was and made an agreement that, hey, this is what it is. Even though this verse is not saying what y'all think it's saying. Because we see the men actually was dealing with women who worship foreign gods and just forgot about his wife. That's not the polygyny you think, bro. If we're looking at it from your eyes, we should say, this is not poly that we subscribe to, nor do we teach neglecting the first wife. If we looking at it from y'all perspective, which I do talk about in my book as well anyway. So this verse 14, when it says, yet ye say, wherefore, like in other words, why did the Most High reject our sacrifices? In other words, it says, because the Lord hath been witness between you and the wife of your youth, meaning married when he was young. Married when young. But it says, against whom thou hast dealt treacherously. He broke the promise, aka lied, ended up divorcing her. Yet she is your companion, your partner, and the wife of your covenant, meaning of the agreement. So clearly, this was a liar, and he broke the agreement. What this got to do with a man who's honest and they both agree from the start, or they both end up saying, okay, that's cool. A dude was like, yo, you know what? I realized, hey, I do want more than one wife. He didn't lie. He didn't neglect to get rid of her. But we finna deal with this. But again, yo, this is a person who's no longer accepting offerings in this verse because you broke your promise to your wife, who you married when you was a youngster. Matter of fact, let's grab that and get me his Bible real quick. Let's see what it say. You ask why he no longer accepts them. It is because he knows you have broken your promise to the wife you married when you were young. Right there. She was your partner and you have broken your promise to her, although you promised before God that you will be faithful to her. Now, what is this talk? Now, think about it. We're looking at it from your perspective. If you look at faithful to her as part of monogamy, this also proves that you're not even talking about truthful poly men. Unless you're talking about them liars who lied to their wife. So why not just say men who lie about being monogamous? And turns out they poly. Why not get this to them and let them fight that good fight? Don't get it to people like us. That would be the treacherous act, the unfaithful act, the lie. Not the person who polying up front and being about being poly from the start. Or maybe understood later that poly isn't a sin and then he voiced up and say, hey, later on down the road, hey, look, hey. And he had pure intentions on the choice that he did to manipulate the situation. All right, cool. But as far as this, the one thing that we know about this is they were putting them women away. They were putting them away. Look at this. Didn't God make you one body and spirit with her? What was his purpose in this? It says it was that you should have been children who were truly God's people. So make sure that none of you breaks his promise to his wife. I hate divorce. This is what this is talking about. Divorce, not another woman. This is about divorce. He said the Lord God of Israel, I hate when one of you does such a cruel thing to his wife, that treacherous thing. Make sure you do not break your promise to be faithful to your wife. In other words, baby, I would never leave you. I would stay with you forever. Had nothing to do with no monogamy versus no polygyny at all. So going back, yet you say, wherefore have the Lord, because the Lord hath been witness between you and the wife of your youth, against whom you have dealt treacherously. How he dealt treacherously with her? Divorce. Yet she is your companion, your partner, and the wife of your covenant, your agreement. And did he not make one? Yet the residue of the spirit, and wherefore one? Look at this, that he might seek a godly seed. Therefore take heed to your spirit, and let none deal treacherously against the wife of his youth, meaning while he was young. Let's deal with that word youth real quick. Verse 15, youth. Look at this. Even if you wanted to even apply this, it don't even apply to you at all. This is talking about a teen, young person. It don't even apply to you anyway. You Negroes ain't getting married when you were young and a teen at all. No matter how you looking at this. If you want to look at it from your perspective, okay, well, what about the brothers who ain't lied to their woman? Who told her up front, hey, yo, I'm marrying you and her. What about that? What about that? Yeah, I'll put it on here so you can see me. So, what about that? Let me go to YouTube real quick. I want to show y'all something. There we go. The shoulder. Boom. Okay, so, because we're coming right back to the Malachi. I did a video on the one body, the one flesh. On what that mean almost a year ago. It's called Adam and Eve. They two shall be one flesh, just in case if that popped in your head. Oh, it says one flesh, one body. Definitely watch that video. I'll give you 2 hours and 45 minutes of, going in. Literally. So, even though all in all, we see youth here. Even when it said the wife of your youth here, right here. Youth, early life. This don't even apply to you. Young person, of course. Look at this real quick. Remember we looked up adolescence earlier? Same thing we saw here. Right here, this is a person in their adolescence. That don't fit y'all. If y'all want to use that. It don't even fit you. You don't even fit the bill. At all. Early life. Same thing here. This is dealing with the time of your adolescence. That don't fit everybody, ladies and gents. That's the same word you saw right there. Look at that. You saw that earlier. It don't fit y'all. No matter how we looking at this. Verse 16. It says, for the Lord God of Israel said he hateth putting away. He hate divorce. For one covereth violence with his garment, saith the Lord of hosts. Therefore take heed to your spirit that you deal not treacherously. Let's deal with treacherously right quick. Oh, that's low. That means not. Hold on, wait. There we go. Don't do it. Okay. Unfaithfully, treacherously, transgress. Look at this. Unfaithful. How was he doing that? Because he didn't stay the course. He wanted to divorce. That's why he hates divorce. Is what he's saying there. Deal not treacherously. He hates divorce. Has nothing to do with what people thought that this meant. So when the Lord God of Israel said he hate divorce, that's the treachery. That's the lying. That's breaking the agreement. But again, this wasn't even talking about what y'all think this is talking about. The children of Israel were in idolatry and they were marrying women who followed strange deities and just deserted their wife for a woman who was following a strange deity. This is not the Most High saying that he has a problem with polygyny. Not at all. Of course not. And then if you want to look at it like this has nothing to do with honest polygyny, if you want to look at it from that perspective, which it don't mean what you thought it meant. And even if it did, ladies and gents, which it don't, but even if it did, one of the first questions you asked them, okay, well, when it said the wife of your youth, how old was youth during this time? What is that Hebrew word and what does it refer to? I've been showing you all video. Let's go ahead. Let me copy and paste this word real quick. Let me show you. Let me share. All right, here we go. Boom. Look at that teenager, of course. Maid. Look at this. Boy. From the masculine aspect. Now let's go to hold on. Youth, early life. Look at that. Malachi 2:14. Okay, so here we go. Of your youth. That's what it's saying right there. when it says the Ishet Niurecha. This is the wife of your youth. Let me copy and paste that real quick. This is for Malachi 2:14. See what the word means. The woman or the wife of your youth. So let's take woman or wife off. Your youth. Let's take out your. And then we're going to take out my. Youthfulness. Don't that sound like adolescence? Wait a minute. Remember we did with adolescence? Let's see. Didn't we see that there? Oh, let's see. Go ahead, seen that. Let me see. It says the period of the following onset of puberty during which a young person develops from a child to an adult. My sister spent her childhood and adolescence in Europe. Example: teenage years, teens, youth, young adulthood, young days, early life, puberty, adolescence, and juvenile. Let's see. I don't know why I thought I saw that on earlier. Phase of growth, adulthood. Matter of fact, let's click on images real quick. Look what shows up. These are youngsters. Right here. Adolescence. Period of your life in which, I guess, being a child into being an adult, of course. Teen. Look at that. Has nothing to do with you. The wife of your youth. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know you got married out of high school, sweetheart. I didn't know y'all was high school sweetheart. So let's go back. Take out the word wife. Shit. Take out the word your. They're going to take the yod off, which is my. It's a possession. Youthfulness. See this? Now dealing with the masculine. Boom, boy. See that? Look at that. Interesting. Isn't that something? So here it is. When dealing with that, and then we know the opposite in the feminine part is girl, maid, virgin. So the wife of your youth wouldn't even apply to you women today. Half the men that's getting with y'all, they not getting with virgins anyway. Woman, you had 50 kids when he married you. You ain't the wife of nobody's youth at all. This doctrine has to stop. All you do is make him like, hey, explain this word youth for me real quick. Explain that for me. So, ladies and gents, hopefully you all understood this. Because this don't mean what y'all thought that this meant. At all. And don't think that well, no, you're gonna get married that young. Well, let's go to Deuteronomy 22. Matter of fact, let me pull it from here. New share. Where's the screen at? Here we go. Okay. Deuteronomy 22. All right, so here we go. Ki yeh ne'er betula me'orsa la'ish za'a ish ba'ir v'shachav u'zelai ima with her. So here we go. So it says, and if a na'er, which was called a damsel or a young woman, na'era, which has the same root word I've been showing y'all from the beginning. Let's click on that real quick. Let's go down right here. Damsel. Boom. Na'era has the same root. Matter of fact, look, let me click on it. Let me show you real quick, guys. Maid, remember I showed you that earlier? Took the hay off. Boy, remember that? In the masculine. So, Ne'era, girl, damsel, female servant, girl, damsel, little girl, of young woman of marriageable, young woman, concubine, prostitute, maid, female attendant, female servant. So, depending on how we putting this in the sentence here. So, of course, this is for the most part dealing with a young woman that is of marriageable age, but she hasn't been tampered or touched with. So, the question is, did you, woman, get married when you were Na'era in your youth? If the answer is no, then why are you even trying to make an argument anyway? You didn't get married in middle school or high school. We're not doing that today. You look at that, that's sick. Evil. Who's doing that today? So, how are you the wife of anybody's youth? Make it make sense.